All right, welcome, welcome. I'm excited to be here for the debut of Real Talk with Brooke Jenkins. So thank you for being here. Susan, Adrian, and Deb. Thank you, Deb, for being here as well. Just to kind of give a little bit of introduction of what my purpose is of this. My purpose is really just to help more people, to add more value. There is so much confusion and so much chaos out there. I want to just be able to add value, help answer questions, give clarity on things that I have learned in my journey. My health journey has been lifelong. However, I've become a health advocate the last 11 years, and I've learned a lot about myself, about food addictions, emotional eating, about a whole plethora of things. And I know that I have a lot of value to give. So I just wanted to have a place where it could be open, real questions from real people where we can have a topic, but then open it up for live Q&A and discussion as well. So I really want this to be more interactive. So, um, so definitely let me know if you have any questions as we're going through this. And so let's just get started. So if you don't know anything about me, for those that may be watching recording, I'm recording this so I can post it for the people who can't be on live. So I am really excited to kick this off today, but I'm here to help busy, overwhelmed people just like you stop merely surviving and start truly thriving. If you're tired of feeling like you're stuck and on autopilot, you're in the right place. So this morning's real talk is about being real. We're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're going to break down some myths, tackle some tough truths, and get into the nitty-gritty of how we can actually take control of our health, our life, and maybe even some parenting tips here and there. And all starts with awareness, the first step towards making any real change. So I want this to be an open conversation. Drop your questions in the chat as we go, or just come off mute and ask a question. And definitely, I want to keep this about 30 minutes to be respectful of your time. I'm not going to be, monologuing for the whole 30 minutes. I have a few things I want to share, but definitely want this to be more of a dialogue and not a monologue. So let's just go ahead and dive into one of the biggest things that trips people up when it comes to health, motivation. I get this question a lot. So many people say, I just need to get the motivation, like it's something that's going to just magically hit them one day. But here's the truth. Motivation doesn't strike like lightning. You create it. And that's a game changer because when you realize this, you stop waiting around for it to happen and start making it happen. Does any of you can relate to that? Like waiting for
Mhm.
motivation to hit. Like I just need the right mind frame, right? I hear
Yes.
that all the time. If I once I get the right mind frame, I'll be ready. Or I'm not in the right mind frame, so I better just not do anything. Well, that doesn't just magically come. So what I have found is, is there's actually several types of motivation. And so let's break down the types of motivation that most of us operate on. So understanding this is going to help you to figure out where you're coming from and why certain strategies are working for maybe a time or don't work for you at all. Okay. So first we have the pain-driven motivation. This one's pretty common, actually very common, and it's triggered by things like a diagnosis, maybe pain, fear, prescriptions, those nagging symptoms that just don't go away. It feels really urgent and something's screaming at you, and kind of like the phrase, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, you're going to make a change,
Mhm.
right? Totally. So, so it feels really urgent, like you have to do something right now. But the problem with this is it's usually short-lived. Once the pain fades, or you get that clean bill of health, or you've gotten so far away from that initial pain-driven motivation, the desire fades with it. And you start to get complacent and you start to kind of relax and you see some of the old habits start to come back. And then you have struggle with getting back into motivation. You go, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be motivated? Where did it go? Well, the pain's not there. The pain of staying the same is not greater than the pain of change. So you stay the same and start to go back to some of your old habits. Anybody else been there? Awesome. Oh, welcome, Carmen. Carmen just
Oh,
joined
yay.
us. All right. So, so while that gets you moving, it's not usually what keeps you going. Okay. So the next is we have have destination motivation. So we all know the drill. We need to lose weight for the wedding. I want to look good on vacation. Summer's coming. I want to fit in those jeans or that swimsuit or fill in the blank of something, right?
Mhm.
So that is a destination motivation. Okay. And again, it's great for a short-term push. It gives you focus and urgency. But again, here's the catch. After the wedding, after the vacation,
Mhm.
after you hit that milestone, often the rebound comes, right?
Mhm.
Old habits creep back in. We get complacent, we get comfortable, you know, this won't hurt, this one bite won't hurt. And then what happens?
Keeps coming
Where'd
back
my
up.
motivation go? We start to go judge ourselves again. What's wrong with me? Why can't I have my motivation back? I was doing so good before the wedding. I was doing so good before the vacation, and now I just lost it all, right?
Mhm.
Very, very, very common. So, and of course, those old habits come back. But okay, finally, where is the true lasting motivation? Where is that one magic sauce? It comes with small wins. It comes with creating those little daily habits, those little daily wins that are going to create sustainability. So consistency in small amounts over time will create the habits that are going to stick.
Mhm.
If you're trying to go all or nothing, right, which is usually that destination or pain motivation,
Mhm.
that's going to be great for a time. We have to focus on the small wins. You have to focus on the non-scale victories, focusing on all the little things that you can do to keep that momentum going, which is going to keep your motivation. So then it shifts from a motivation to a habit,
Mhm.
right? And not beating ourselves up when we're not doing it perfectly. Anybody else guilty of that? So guilty of that. Okay. So, think about, depending upon where you're starting, it could be literally that one extra glass of water, that one extra lap around the grocery store for some more movement. It could be something super small. It could be actually having breakfast versus not having breakfast. It could be, saying no to that extra glass of wine. It could be something small, depending upon where you're starting. It doesn't have to be, again, all or nothing.
Mhm.
Looking at where you're starting and what is one thing that you know you can do every day in a small amount, even on your worst days, even on your worst weeks.
Mhm.
Okay. And so that way you can make sure that that is your win, is that small itty bitty millimeter, right? So then you can go, and if you have to recognize it as a win, you literally have to use your brain to recognize that as a win to keep that momentum and that motivation going to keep that your focus. Does that make sense?
That does.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. All right. And again, it's about awareness that we really have to figure out where you're at and what's the one thing to create that consistency. Um, also awareness about how different food makes you feel or less activity makes you feel, motion, what is the little things? Because little things can help you to feel better. You don't even realize it, right? And there's so many different things you can do to take those extra little steps. I remember early on, in about 11 years ago, I read someplace that just extra steps makes a big difference. We've all heard this, right?
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
all know this. So I immediately, even though I had two young kids at the time, I immediately started to park one of the furthest parking spots away from the store at the grocery store or at any place we went. That was when I'm like, okay, I can do that. Even though I have two kids and they might
Mhm.
whine about walking so far, it'll be fine. So that was one little thing that I started doing. I just started parking further away from the door. So I had more steps there and more steps back. Those little things, just start to shift that identity to that, and I'll be honest, I have kind of gotten out of that habit because I'm usually in a rush, in a hurry, right? To where, especially like I don't go to Walmart very often, but the Walmart here in Dallas, there's a side parking lot that always has vacancies and always is a little bit larger because I have a large vehicle, easier to park, but it's pretty close to the door. And it's easy to get in and out and quick to get in and out, right? So I have even gone back to old habits like, oh, I'm in a hurry. Let me just park here. Oh, this is easier. It's easier getting out, right? I've gone back to some easy things versus parking further away,
Mhm.
right? So, anyways, that's just one idea. I can go on and on about different ideas, but really it's creating what's those little things that you can do consistently over time. And then when you're good with that, what's the next little thing to create a snowball effect that builds momentum? And when you get into that groove, you realize the motivation wasn't something that just showed up. It was something you created by making those small but powerful choices every day and not beating yourself up when it's not big enough, as we all do, right? And it really has to be small. It cannot be big. I mean, I remember actually, Susan, if you don't mind me talking, back, I don't know how you could tell me how many years ago it was, or a year and a half or 2 years ago, walking was something that you wanted to really start actually going for walks. And you had a bigger goal and you were like, I want to start this. I'm like, well, how about we slow it down and break it down to something a little bit more manageable that you know that you can do even on your worst weeks, right? And then that got really easy and got really sustainable. And then you're like, okay, I want to add some more. I'm like, all right, well, what would be easier for you to add another day or to add a little bit more time to what you're already doing, maybe once a week? I think I remember us having that conversation, and you got really consistent for a very long time doing that and building on that. Do you want to speak to that at all, Susan?
Sure. I started with 20 minutes. Actually, I think it was 10 minutes twice a week because that's all I felt like I had time for. But I started feeling so much better. I think I stuck with that for a couple of weeks just to try to make sure that it was really ingrained in me as a habit before adding time. And then I went up to 20 minutes twice a week. And then I added a third day because that's what was working and I was feeling so much better. And eventually it built up to about 45 minutes 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But the consistency is important because that was a year ago, April, that I started that. And I held on to it up until February of this year. And then something happened and it's vanished. So I'm back to the beginning, making the decision to get back out walking again.
Yep. And you got to go back to the little bit.
Yes.
Got to go back to a little bit. You can't, and that's another thing that we do is we go, well, I was there. Why can't I just start where I left off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It's not.
finding my body can do 20 to 30 minutes pretty comfortably, but more than that, and I get depleted and it's too much.
Well, and it's just creating the consistency too, right? It's you can't go back to where you started or where you finished, even, we're talking only 4 months ago, right? But you have to just start with what is that little thing to start with, right? So,
It's
anyways,
amazing how quick the body forgets. It's like, come on. It's not fair.
but also how quickly the body
It
remembers.
remembers. Yep.
It does. It's just you have to kind of think about it. Okay.
Mhm.
Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, right? Sits out and doesn't move for a long time.
It's
It's
risky.
really hard to get it moving again, right? You got to do the oil. You really got to work it and get it going. But once he gets going, it was like he was going all along, right? So, anyways, I got kids, so of course I think about Tin Man, and they just did the play of the Wizard of Oz at school. Anyways, I hope that again, don't go into judgment about we go so much into judgment about ourselves for not having the motivation to start where we ended or to be where we were in my teens or in my 20s to be able to do that. Why can't I just do that? And then we try to do it and we feel like we failed miserably. I've done this where I'm like, oh, I used to do 30 minutes on the elliptical, no big deal. But it's been 10 years. I had a couple of babies and I jumped on the elliptical and 5 minutes and I was done. I was done. And guess what? I did not get back on that elliptical because I felt like such a failure,
Oh,
right? This is several years ago, of course, but I remember that defeated feeling. But we all do that. We all beat ourselves up and then wonder what's wrong with us for not being able to jump right back in to do 30 minutes on the elliptical when I haven't touched it for 10 years. You're not going to be able to.
mhm.
Anyways, any of your thoughts or comments before we kind of move on to anything else?
Everything you're saying totally rings with me, but I'm still like, we had our check-in Monday. I'm like, yes, I did my exercises Tuesday. That was it. And then I get like, I am my worst critic, and I don't know. I just like I totally understand what you're saying, and I'm like, yes, 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 but then I don't do it. And then I'm like, ugh. So I don't know what I need. Like, what do I need? I just want to kick myself in the butt. Come on, get up. You know?
Adrian, you did. You did it
One
on
time,
Tuesday.
no. See,
But
I
hey,
don't count that. It's hard for me to count those tiny things as win. I'm like, no, come on, girl.
yeah, you
It's like a
have to.
participation trophy. It's like, no.
But we have to. We have to bring it back and recognize that one time is a win,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
And the week's not over. Yes, you're going to
that's
be going
true. I'll
camping,
be
but the week's
walking
not
a
over,
lot this weekend, and
right? So what did you, so let's back up a little bit. So
mhm.
what did you set out as your goal for the week? What did you decide that this was my win, and if I don't do this, I'm a failure?
My goal was like, okay, I can do this 3 times a week. Come on, for
Okay.
10 minutes. Geez, you know.
Okay.
But then, like I said, one time, and then I don't know what derailed me. There's usually something in the morning. Oh, I got to check this, but I'm good at finding things to derail me too. And so then, it's like, oh, I'm out of time. Got to take a shower. Got to get going.
Right.
So, and I don't have to do them in the morning. I could do them at another time as
You could do them
well.
another time.
I know.
But what if three times is
Hmm.
just too much for you right now?
Hmm.
What if you've already done it once this week, and even you've done it once and you've already written
Hmm.
yourself off as a failure for the week? Do
I
you see
just,
how our
it's more
brain?
like I'm disappointed. I'm like, I just get disappointed. It's like, come on, Adrian. So I know.
Yeah. Let's. What would you be
I think
open?
I feel like that's not enough of an impact either, too. Like, it's just hard for me to count that as a win when I'm like, what, 10 minutes didn't change anything in my body. Like, big deal. So, and I know that comes from past workouts where it was 6 days a week for an hour and a half, because I'm like, 10 minutes isn't doing anything. But the shape I'm in, it actually does. I'm sore from 10 minutes.
Yes.
Just
Yes. So
so
love
it's
it you're aware.
it's like we talk about, it's logically, I can think all the right things, but it's that, the heart piece of like, yes, I really want to do it. I feel good after I do it, but it's like something just not getting me over that hump there. But it is a work in progress. I keep doing it. So these little things help me. I feel more motivated, and I missed Monday night's thing because I was still working. And then I was like, it's over.
There's a
So
recording.
I know. So, I definitely have been slacking with my things with Dave that I love, and reading my books, and I'm gonna take those camping. And so I can feel that. I think that has a lot when because I definitely start going back to the bad habits when I'm not listening and reading and those kinds of things. So
The more
uh
you've gotten
yeah.
yourself uh what's the word I'm looking for? Engaged
Yeah.
into the community, into
Community.
the
Hmm.
mental, into all that.
Hmm.
That's because as soon as you disconnect
Hmm.
yourself from that, then all
Hmm.
you're stuck with your own thoughts and your own surroundings,
Hmm.
everything, and that's just going to then lead you back to
Hmm.
where you came from.
Hmm.
And Adrian, would you be
Hmm.
open to shifting your goal?
Sure.
Okay. So you've done it one time this week,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
pretty much have already just decided you're a failure this week because you've only done it once.
Yes, because that was like Tuesday.
Okay. So all right, thank you so much, Deb, for being here. Appreciate you. This will be recorded. The recording will be in the group too.
Oh, good.
Um, what if instead of three times, you start out with twice, right? And so if you do it on Tuesday, you just have one. So you
Yeah.
by the end of Sunday, as long as you do the
Yeah.
second one, you won.
I definitely have time on the weekend to do it.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for that.
So that maybe that'll be a little shift for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Maybe right now, where you're at right now,
Mhm.
three times just is psychologically, there we go, is your brain says, I just don't have time for that. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
But let's see if
Yeah.
twice,
Yeah. That's doable.
you know, you can go, I can make this a win.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we need to start. We figure out how we can make it a win for you. Because then that win and doing that consistently,
Mm-hmm.
then that will give you the extra little push of motivation to then,
Mm-hmm.
okay, can I do a third time?
Yeah.
Or would it be better just to add 5 minutes to what I'm already doing? Right? Just like with
Good
Susan's
point.
walking.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
can I is two really realistic? And if you're missing
Mm-hmm.
two, it's one. And then
Yeah.
maybe then okay, you're good with the one. That's a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you add two?
Yeah.
Right? You just figure out where is that win that you know you can do regardless of the distractions, regardless of the different things. We all have life.
Mm-hmm.
We all have things going on. But it's figuring out what you can do and celebrating it.
Yeah.
Because you know that even just the one time, your body felt it.
Yes, it did.
So even if you're only doing once a week, it's better than none at all.
Yes, I know. I try to keep that saying in my head a lot. Better to start than do nothing at all. So it really is a good one, just like, yeah, I can do something.
And then the shifting because you're also shooting on yourselves for the going not plugging with Dave and not getting your books and not
Yeah.
missing Monday. What if you just were able to just do
Yeah.
one thing? Again, create the win,
Yeah.
right? What is one thing that you know you can do before the week's out? So then
Mhm.
you feel good that you won and by plugging into something
Mhm.
like that for you. You plugged in here. That's a
Yeah.
win. What if this was better than any of that other stuff for this
Yeah.
week?
I love Dave's things, but sometimes the hour 15, I'm like, oh, I have to break them up into like four time things. And then the new one's already here. I'm like, oh, I didn't even get to hear it all. So yeah,
I
but
have
I
to
love
speed it
them.
up. If I'm listening to a recording, I have to speed it up faster.
It's a good point.
One, it shortens it up, and two, my brain stays engaged better.
All right. Well, great. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. All right. Well, I had one other thing I was going to talk about, but we're basically out of time, so I don't want to. Well, so I'll save that for the next one since I already have. Because the other question that was really kind of combination of
Mhm.
motivation was a question I heard several times, and the other one was
Mhm.
confused about calories,
Mhm.
carbs, macros, what should I do?
Mhm.
And I wanted to kind of start to, and this will be what I'll do moving forward. My next one will be, in a sense, opening up Pandora's box and
Mhm.
demythifying all the marketing ploys that are out there,
Mhm.
right? And let's just start to become aware of the marketing ploys of all the healthy things in the
Mhm.
grocery store that are not healthy. So many people get confused and get sold based on the
Mhm.
marketing stuff versus what's truly healthy. Just to
Mhm.
start to open up that conversation because that is a big, 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 big conversation.
Mhm.
It's not something we can have in just a 30 minutes. So we'll just take layers of that. And so I'll take a couple, two, three probably of these little workshops just to kind of
Mhm.
start to peel back onion layers on that.
I would like that because I know some people I talk to, they just really don't have the means to engage in Optavia, wholeheartedly, just more financially and there's real food you can't eat, but I think it's the struggle of like, well, how many calories, how many carbs, how many fat, how many protein, should I be eating with each little snack or meal or whatever it is that is confusing. And maybe there's no easy answer for that, but I feel like you could get close to something, a goal.
Yeah. And that's definitely, part of the conversation that we'll be
Mhm.
going into next time is a little bit more clarity on that. But there's
Mhm.
so many things that come along with that it's again, there's so many layers on that, and there's so much things that's unique to the individual as well.
Yes.
There's so much there.
Yeah.
So, and that's what part of the reason why I created this group and I'm doing
Mhm.
these workshops is because I want to
Mhm.
just give value to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who's looking to get healthier, want to have some clarity, like this is a great place to
Mhm.
invite them so they can have
Yeah.
access. I'll be sharing recipes in this group. I'm going to be
Oh, good.
sharing different value things in here. I just want this to be a place where it's going to be easy to grab information, value, to be able to do whatever. And then, of course, if they ever do want to, if somebody does resonate with them and they want to reach out
Mhm.
to me directly to have a one-on-one conversation and a free consultation, they can do that. But this is where they have
Yeah.
the option to, and
Right.
they can show up and be a fly on the wall,
Yeah.
do whatever they want
Mhm.
to, and hopefully reap rewards from it. That's my goal.
So along those lines, so like I think I sent the Facebook event to my sister, like, hey, because I've been just talking with her,
Mhm.
and so what's the best way to share this group with somebody and then make sure they get, I mean, I know she's working at this time, so it's going
Right.
to be a challenge. Same for me. I'm supposed to be working. Uh, um, Challenge maybe sometimes, but like, what's the best way? Do we put the Zoom link in a calendar? It'll be the same one, or
It'll be the same Zoom link. Yeah, I'm
okay.
going to be trying to shift things to make it a little bit easier
Mhm.
to because the group is a public group.
Yeah,
I'm cautious about just posting the Zoom link and
I get
password
you.
publicly.
Hmm.
However, I'm going to be shifting some things and trying to figure out the best way to be able to get it to people, and then also to share the recording, not just in the Facebook page, but maybe even just through email or something
Right.
like that too. I'm
Hmm.
trying to brainstorm different ideas. But I just
Hmm.
wanted to launch this. Like this is just like a huge inspired idea. I'm like, I'm not waiting.
Hmm.
I just want to launch this. I want to get this started and move forward. But if they are on Facebook,
Hmm.
invite them to the group so they can be
Yeah, I will.
a fly on the wall. And there was somebody you invited that did join, but now I can't find their name.
Was it Heather Clark? That's my
Yeah.
sister. Yeah.
Okay.
So see, that's what I was like, oh, I kind of this morning I'm like, where, how do I, what is this Facebook Live? I was like kind of confused, like, how do I see this? That's why I messaged you.
Yeah.
But my sister thinks she's gonna get hacked if she used Facebook Messenger. I'm like, oh geez. So I'm like, well, that's like the best way to get the link, is like join the group, interested, and then,
Thank you,
you
Susan.
send us the link.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
So we'll figure some of that out as we're kind of like I said, I just didn't I'm trying to think if
mhm.
there is she
Well,
answered
I'll
my
probably
question.
just put it in my calendar. That's like for me, that's the best way. Like otherwise I get sidetracked with other things. And then if I just have the Zoom link in there, that's all I have to do is go open the calendar and there it is.
Yeah, I do
I
that
can send
all the
that to
time.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I know that Heather sent the excuse me, the questions to get into the
Oh,
group,
she did.
but
She probably just didn't realize how she would get the link or whatever.
yeah, that's
She
okay.
might
Well,
not have marked, going or interested or something like
right.
that. I don't know.
Yeah, and you said that she's probably working this time anyways.
Yeah,
So
so
she'll probably
some.
grab I'll get this processed and I'll put it in the group as a recording
Mhm.
so people can
Mhm.
watch the recording as well. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, if they're wanting to get healthy, have questions or they're
Mhm.
struggling, inviting them to groups so that way there's so much things when it comes to health that people need to feel like they can trust somebody before they have a
Mhm.
conversation. So many people,
Yeah, I think
give
that's
me a
she's
lead
slow
or
to.
whatever, but
Yeah.
they're not open to a conversation. There is so much skepticism when it comes to
Mhm.
health and skepticism to being sold.
Mhm.
Like I don't want
Yeah.
to sell somebody. I want to,
Mhm. Yeah.
what do
I
you
know
do?
you.
You know me,
Oh
right?
yeah, but
Carmen, you know me. You know
yeah.
I'm not going to try to take advantage of it, but our society as a whole has so much skepticism.
Yeah.
I get
Mhm.
it. I have it. We all
Yeah.
have it, right?
Yeah.
How many ads do we have popped up in our faces
Yeah.
all
My
day
God.
long, right?
You can't
So,
even look at something and then it's like you're inundated. It's like, oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I was thinking that this is just definitely be another safe place for them to come to get to know me, to
Mhm.
hopefully build that trust, so that way when they feel comfortable, then they can reach out to me directly.
Yeah.
And with the questions that I have for the group, I'll know who invited them as well.
Mhm.
So then, like for you ladies, you're in my
Mhm.
networking group. So if
Mhm.
you invited somebody here and they finally do reach out to me, I can say, hey, Carmen, so and so actually reach out to me, for our referral group, you can put in referral for
Mhm. Oh, and I think I can count this as a one-to-one too.
So,
that.
Brooke, I would love to learn like the stages of people and when they where they are mentally. Because I know for myself, I'm doing better as far as like the eating because that affects me. And I had a flour tortillas last night. I woke up, my fingers are swollen. So I'm like, no, that is a definitely no.
Yeah.
So my question would be, is like, is there stages of like, for instance, okay, I'm ready to do it. They
Hmm.
get started and then they dwindle down.
Hmm.
Or the person that's okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm ready, and they take off. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, I would really want to find out like what holds people back
Hmm.
and giving it their all. And, you know, because I would love, and I'm talking about my sister,
Hmm.
what is holding her back? You
Yeah.
know, how can I help to support her and encouraging her into she started the process, but then she's stuck,
Hmm.
right? So I would love information
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah. And let's have a conversation more about that, Carmen, because it is definitely unique. It's not a one size fits
Yeah.
all. And
It's
this, and
and you start, you succeed, and then you always plateau, and that's where everybody gives up,
yeah.
like 99% of the time. But it's always cycle like that, and it's going to go back up. But so many for fitness, for diet, change so many things,
So many.
that's a very common when you get to that plateau, you're just like, well, forget it. It's
Well,
not
and
working.
it kind of goes back to what this call was about today, is
Yeah.
about motivation, right?
Mhm.
Most people jump in and are given their all because it's either a destination motivation or it's a pain motivation,
Mhm.
and that's when people are like all in and they're doing great, and then they plateau, usually because they get comfortable and they're far enough away, or they've reached a destination, they're far enough away from the pain to when oh, I'm comfortable, I'm never going to go back there again. I'm good. I got this. But then life happens, right? And so many of us don't realize how much life, and I'm saying life is a,
Mhm.
big broad term,
Mhm.
between temptations, triggers, emotions, stress, all the different things that are around us, then we make other choices. Maybe it's working out less,
Mhm.
maybe it's not drinking enough water, maybe it's making other food choices. It's so many different things that affect our overall life and health. And that's why I call myself a wellness coach, because your life affects your health and your health affects your life. They are so interlinked, and then that all, and this, I'll take it to another level, that all affects how you parent, how
Mhm.
you show up as a parent and how you parent. I truly believe that. I was actually just having this conversation yesterday, with somebody, that I would not be the parent that I am today if it wasn't for my health journey and
Mhm.
for taking care of me and my personal growth. That has allowed me to be the parent I am today, which I'm proud of the parent
Mhm.
that I am today, right? And I don't know very many parents that can say they're proud of how they parent.
Mhm.
They usually are judging themselves and kicking themselves because they're
Yeah.
not good enough,
Mhm.
right? I don't know.
Critical. Yeah.
I've been there too.
Yeah. I
But
know.
all right. Well,
It's great.
let's wrap this up, but definitely
Mhm.
both of you, if you have more questions, we can have deeper conversations.
One quick one.
Yep.
Next Friday's 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm not doing this every Friday. I'm going to do it
Oh, I
once or
thought it was.
twice. Not every Friday. I'm going to do
Okay.
it maybe once or twice a month, um,
Oh, okay. Oh,
because I
well, that'll
don't
be
want.
hard to add to the calendar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not going to do it every Friday.
Okay.
I do like to have structure
Mhm.
with it, so I will
Uh-huh.
probably figure out if I'm going to do it once or twice a month. It might be twice a month right now because there's
Mhm.
so many questions and there's so many
Mhm.
things that I feel like people are eager for,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So I'll figure out and
Okay.
actually make it to where it's very consistent. But yeah, I wanted to launch it and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. It's gonna be Friday at 10. I don't know.
Sounds
And
good.
I'll figure out more details later.
All
So
right.
thank you,
Well,
Yeah.
Adrienne. Thank
have
you,
a great day.
Carmen.
Good to see you, Carmen.
All right. Have a great day, ladies.
Yeah, have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks. You too.
Bye day.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.